Hey everybody, welcome to this week's tapping break. Today I want to get into a little bit of tapping around motherhood burnout and just burnout in general, even if you're not a mom. Yeah, just kind of dig into where we feel burnout. When is it coming up in our lives? When do we feel like we are at that breaking point, and how we can kind of ease the tension and the pressure that comes with burnout in order to repair burnout, right? So, of course, we're going to go through a first round of venting on tapping around just being burnt out and like having really goofy hair. Okay, sorry guys. Ever noticed when I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hair? It's just doing its own thing. Now it feels crazy. Okay, anyway, back at it. We are gonna tap on, first of all, just the feeling of burnout and how we can just make some room for that in order to shift it, right? So for me, a lot of the time when I am feeling burnt out or low and slow energy to some degree, I will make it worse by trying to push through it. And this is where I really like to bring in the difference between energy management and energy patterning. So energy management is how we can shift and change, control, or manipulate our own personal energy so that we can direct it into the direction that we want to go. Energy patterning, though, is how we just allow and observe our energy to be where it's at so that we can start to pattern it out, so that we can start to identify when we might have specific highs or when we might feel, specifically low, what things might trigger it, what times of the month might trigger that, and just other things like that, where we can notice the natural ebb and flow of our energy so we can work with that instead of trying to push through and bust through that burnout, right? So that's a good title for this. We're going to, work through busting through the burnout. And I actually maybe don't even like that because it's not about busting through it, right? Burnout comes up because there's something that we're not addressing. A really cool concept that I've been reading a little bit about is about impatience, and how impatience is basically indicating that there is something out of sync with your natural rhythm and flow. There's some kind of a kink in your energetic flow that you're not tuned in naturally, or you're trying to push against something or force something or bust through something, and so you're kind of creating a restriction or a kink in that flow, and no amount of control or manipulation is going to necessarily move you through that, unless you get to a place of acceptance and allowance first. Again, redefining specific words and terms and concepts has been major for me. Acceptance does not mean just rolling over and allowing things to be the way they are because that's just the way they are. To me, acceptance is acknowledging that there's something that's out of alignment, and then just taking a pause and being with that for a second, because there's so much wisdom when we pause and we take a look at what's wrong or what we think is wrong, because it's usually going to tell us a direction that we could go towards releasing or healing or processing or integrating, right? But we just need to fine tune that little listening piece. So I really think that's a big thing, and that's where we could probably start. So taking a nice gentle breath, just feel into your body right now. Maybe close your eyes if you can, and just notice when you hear the word burnout, or if you're experiencing burnout right now. There's a lot of things on your plate, or there's a lot of things on the go, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of different energies. Where do you hold that within your body? Immediately, I go like right to my lower back. And that's always kind of like a place where it carries and holds a lot within, like physically within me. Like I notice really like when I'm washing kids' hair and stuff like that in the bathtub, and it always, or bending over to cut kindling and stuff like that, it carries a lot there, and I have to be very ginger with it. And so just kind of bring that kind of an energy. Look at where you're feeling that burnout, where you're holding that burnout, and if you can be a little bit more gentle, a little more ginger with it. And then taking a look at any emotions or beliefs that pop up with that. Is there any experiences that are popping up or memories that are popping up? And just holding that in your mind while we go through this tapping. So tapping on the side of the hand, we're going to say, even though I am feeling a lot of burnout, I feel very exhausted and overwhelmed, I'm giving myself a minute now to pause and take a breath, and to bring some more love and acceptance into my life now. Even though I carry this burnout, I can feel this burnout being carried in my back, or insert where you're carrying it. I want to pause and breathe into the space and bring some love and acceptance to where I'm at right now. Especially because I just try to bust through this all the time. I'm trying to get out of burnout as quickly, as fast as possible. I'm giving myself permission now to take a breath and see what comes up. Top of the head. I hate being burnt out. Eyebrow point. I'm sick of feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. Side of the eye. I'm tired of feeling it in my body. Underneath the eyes. I'm tired of carrying this heavy load. Underneath the nose. It always makes me feel cranky. Underneath the mouth. I'm gonna swear. I always feel like a bitch when I'm burnt out. Collarbone point. And so I forgive myself. Underneath the arms for letting it get so bad. Underneath the chest for not taking care of myself. Wrist points for letting it build up within me. To the point that I don't have a choice anymore. Eyebrow point. Burnout will make my choices for me. Side of the eye. I don't like this feeling. Underneath the eye. It adds to the issues. Underneath the nose. And I want to give myself permission. Underneath the mouth to take a break. Collarbone point to pause and observe. Underneath the arms, what does burnout mean? Underneath the chest, what does being burnt out mean to me? Wrist point. I'm ready to give this part of me a voice. Top of the head, to listen to what it has to say. Eyebrow point, even though I might not know what to do about it. Side of the eye, I am giving it the floor anyway. Okay. Just take a nice gentle pause here. Again, drink water. And just see what comes up for you there. Do you feel like you are available to take a look at what burnout has to say to you? Are you available to listen to where it is in your body? To be available to piece together what emotions or what beliefs or what experiences have triggered burnout or have built up and need to be addressed in order to, basically replenish your energy, and to rebuild from, a place of not burnout. I was trying to think about this yesterday. I was doing a little bit of work for myself, and like, really, what do we want to do with burnout? What do we want to do? Do we want to heal it? Do we want to fix it? Do we want to rekindle the fire? Is it part of like what has gone out? Is it part of what we've neglected to tend and neglected to feed more fire to? And is that, let's actually take a look at that, because I really think that burnout is, it's like the bottom of the fire, basically. It's all the charcoal, it's all the ash, it's all of the what's left over, and you can't necessarily make too much of what's left over. And when we get to a certain point, we realize that is actually a blessing in disguise, because we've burned through, or we've gone through the things that we no longer need anymore. But we need to remember to replace the fuel to that fire so that we don't get burnt out. Let's start with that there. So just taking a nice gentle breath. You can start by tapping on the hand. I'm just going to kind of ask a couple questions first before we get going. Just what would it take for you to keep your fire burning? Just starting to be curious about that. So even though I feel like my fire is burnt out, I have no energy or motivation, I'm honoring this part of me now. And I'm ready to take a look at how to revitalize this. Even though I've let my fire go out, I've let myself get to a state of burnout, I love and accept all these parts of me now. Even though I feel defeated and exhausted, like maybe the energy will never come back around, my fire is burnt out. And I'm honoring this place where I'm at right now. Top of the head. Maybe it's time to clear the chimney. Eyebrow point. Maybe it's time to remove the ashes and honor the flame underneath the eye, the energy, the motivation underneath the nose that has kept my fire going before, underneath the mouth, but it no longer lights it now. Collarbone point. What would it mean to rekindle this fire? Underneath the arms. What would I need to restart my fire? Underneath the chest. Am I open to acknowledging these things now? Wrist points. And can I let go of the voice inside? Top of the head that says, no, that's not how it works. Eyebrow point. You can't keep your fire lit that way. Side of the eye. I am willing to let this go. Underneath the eyes. And I will release as much as I can right now. Underneath the nose. And the rest will come when I'm ready. Underneath the mouth. I'm open to knowing. Collarbone point. What will light my fire now? Underneath the arms. I am acknowledging now. Underneath the chest, what I need to light my fire. Okay, so taking a look at that where you are right now and just really lean into that. That's such a, I mean, it's really actually a fun place to be, of like what and how and who, what, where, when, like get really creative with that. What do you need to kind of reignite that inspiration? And it's funny because it seems a little counterproductive. It seems a little counterintuitive to dream or, kind of go on Pinterest and find a bunch of, things that you would like to do or that you would like to be or that would motivate you or inspire you to, start working towards some of these things. But really basically what we're doing is we're trying to find a way to reignite, what reignite that momentum and the motivation to be able to get you towards or and to that place of inspiration again, because you did have it at some point, right? I think for me, I forget too a lot of the time that, up until a certain point, I was very motivated, I was very inspired, and I had a lot of momentum behind me. But it's when I try to put myself in overdrive that I forget to let that momentum carry me and that I'm over giving or over pushing or over stoking my fire to the point that I'm not allowing it to do its own job, right? So you think about fire and you think about, I think about hot air balloons and stuff like that. It's the air, it's the what comes off of the fire that actually can take you and move you and keep you rolling. It's not necessarily something like, we don't constantly feed our fire when we have fires at our house here. We load it up, we stoke it up, and then we leave it the hell alone. We let it be and we let it carry itself until we get to a point where we notice that, okay, we need a little bit more tending to right now. Let's go restoke that fire. It's a give and a take, right? And so really take a look at that, where that could be for yourself. And for me, when I think about this for myself as a mom, when I started doing all of this work, it was sleep, it was rest, it was napping. To be completely honest, it was uninterrupted, undistracted sleep, basically, right? And so don't, it may feel like you're not doing anything, but that is the initial place. And that's still where I go. It's still that place where I know that my body and my mind and everything else within me is working while I am like shutting down certain parts so that it can do its job to keep the momentum, to keep the flame, and to keep the heat going. So take a look at that. I'm just trying to think of, I think what I want to do is just do a quick round of tapping and breathing, and we'll leave it at that. And then just really, I'm super curious to know what comes up for you. What used to stoke your fire? What used to get you motivated? And what used to get you inspired? And does that still apply today? Maybe you need to bring something back. This was a big thing for me when I, as a mom of like a stay-at-home mom with toddlers, I was just like, I have no spark, no spontaneity, no adventure, nothing like that within myself. And then I noticed how, taking myself on little trips or being able to go to a retreat or two, or road trips, or like even going away with my husband, those things like reignited me, because it was a time for me to step away from being responsible to the everyday, chatter of, just being engaged in and participating in that chatter of everyday life, especially with toddlers and that, right? Like, how can we disengage from needing to be there 100% all the time, stoking that flame, making sure that everything is going? And how can we allow that to, in our life pertaining to where we're at, applicable to you? How can we allow the momentum to carry us, right? So that we can take a step away or a sleep away to be able to get a little break. So we're going to start at the top of the head. I'm going to take a nice deep breath in and out. Eyebrow point. Going to breathe in and out. Out of the eye, breathing in and out. underneath the eye, breathing in and out. Underneath the nose, breathing in and out. Underneath the mouth, breathing in and out. Collarbone point, breathing in and out. Underneath the eyes or arms, breathing in and out. Starting to let yourself get a little bit relaxed here. Underneath the chest, breathing in and out. Wrist points together, breathing in and out. Okay. So something that came up while I was doing that, and I can't remember quite what it was now. Oh, it's being safe within yourself, being safe to make these choices, and being safe to take a breath, to take a step back, to trust yourself that you're not going to let shit hit the fan. The world is not going to fall apart if you take a moment for yourself. And this means different things at different levels, right? Wherever you're at. And it's allowing yourself to catch up. That's another big thing. And I actually have it written here, so stay tuned. But I'm going to do a bit of a work through on physical, mental, and emotional burnout, and how certain parts of us need to be given that space, given that trust, and given that safety to catch up. Because our mind usually understands. They know. Our mind knows. It consistently says, "You're fine. You're fine." It's like this. It's a computer. It's an intellectual computer that continually puts you into a state of understanding. But the embodiment piece is usually where we kind of miss the mark, or we don't allow the body to catch up. And that's what's really great about tapping, is that it takes the minute that the body needs. It starts tapping on the points and the energy meridians, and that gets to the nervous system that says, we're actually safe right now. We don't need to do anything. We'll be able to get back to it in a minute, but we can take a look at all of these things right now. It quiets the mind, and then it allows the emotions to come in, which are really a huge guiding post. It's like a beacon of light, our emotions, to be able to honor what's coming up and to honor and give grace for, how we feel, because a lot of the time it's push through, put those feelings in a box and we'll deal with them later, and later never comes, right? So, and then it accumulates, it piles up, and then we have, what I call chronic stress and overwhelm, because we have like X amount of years built up in this little box that we have to sift and sort through now. So I'd love to know how this stood for you, or how this resonated with you, if it was helpful. If you'd like to dig in more into this, I do offer one-on-one sessions. You can find that. I'll put the link in the description below, and we can really get into more of the specifics for you and tailor a tapping session for you in, with what's coming up for you specifically. So take a breath, take a sip of water, take a nap. Throw a movie on for your kids, take a nap. That's what I used to do, and that's what I still do. There's so many things that tell you you're not supposed to do this or you're not supposed to do that. But and the other thing to take a look at too is, how much do you actually get done when you're feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and burned out? My guess is that you get a lot of shit done because you have to. If you could take a moment to replenish that energy, to stoke that fire, to let it carry you and build momentum, just think of how much easier it would feel to get everything else that you needed to get done. And you'd be it's much more clear and intentional. And a clear and intentional way to get things done as well, because your mind's on point, your body's on board. You know, you can respond to your emotions and not necessarily react. So, and that's helpful for everybody, especially as moms, because we're role models, right? We're leading by example. So anyway, I'm gonna sign off now. Hope you guys have the good rest of your day, and we'll chat with you soon. Bye.